YouTube, it's Tone back with another one for you. This one here is a document that I found online, and it basically is like a brief summary of what it is when you set up your UCC1 contract trust, and some of the steps that you want to take in order to get it set up. And this is real brief, mind you. There's a lot more to it than just this, so this is kind of a summarized version, right? And so between this and mind you, I haven't even gone as far as setting up the shit with the bank and all that. I just go directly to the treasury at this point. But you can do all this as well and set it up with your bank and all that shit. So you don't gotta be anybody special. It's just a process you gotta do, and it all does start with the UCC1 financing statement. This is what sets up your collateral, assigns it value and things like that. So right here, and this is only a couple pages. So steps for establishing a UCC contract trust. So first of all, file the UCC1 financing statement in your birth state. And also, if you're going to be doing business within the region of your birth state, and if you need the PDF with the regions that let you know the UCC regions, so to let you know where you can do business. And then if you're going to be doing business outside of that region, you probably want to get a UCC filed in whatever region that you plan on doing business in as well. Just so that way it's covered and they can recognize it legally, right? So that way everything falls under the, maritime UCC commerce, what do you call it? Codes and statutes. So file the UCC1 financing statement in your birth state and or the region. So it doesn't have to be the necessary. I mean, definitely want to get it filed wherever you were born. Uh, but as long as you're within that region, then you'll be covered. So there's usually like a tri-state or 4 or 5 states within a certain region. Uh, so number two, file with the Secretary of Treasury, 1500 Pennsylvania Northwest, Washington, D.C., zip code 20229. And you're going to want to reference the UCC contract trust, and that's what it's going to be called too. So a lot of people make a mistake of calling it a Treasury Direct account and all that. That's something completely different. Don't get yourself fucked up by calling it something that it is not, because then they're going to send it to the wrong place and nothing's going to get processed correctly. It has to go to the UCC Contract and Trust Division and or the uh, the Technical Support Division, right? So that's where you would be sending your instruments and things like that in order to get processed. So A, UCC1 financing statement. Two, the instruction notice or chargeback, right? So this is the chargeback, notifying them to go ahead and credit the account. And then a 1040 ES. And so the 1040 ES form is a voucher, right? And so that's going to be made out for whatever the value is of that particular bond or instrument that you're going to be sending them in. And so when you look at the 1040 ES form, those are for trust transactions. That's specifically what that particular voucher is for. And what you'll see is you'll see different quarters, because everything gets filed in like three-month quarters or so. So there'll be, the you'll see the different quarters and dates that you need to file certain things by, and those change every year. So, and then your birth certificate stamped, accepted for value. Definitely want to stamp that. So that is your bond. All right. And so those are going to be bonds. They got serial numbers on them. They're issued from the state. State is a commercial entity as well. They're a financial institution as well. And so that's why we get our certificates from them, right? And then we assign them a value. So number three, file a UCC financing statement and addendum with the UCC office in the resident state if you have not already done it. We do ours online, so everything's filed right as soon as we do it. All right. So as soon as you do it online, you can just go ahead and print that out and know that it is going to be on file right away as soon as you pay that fee. Steps for discharging claims. So once the above is done, you are ready to discharge claims in the public sector. And so this is a difference between discharging something privately and publicly. So when we discharge things privately, those accounts will kind of just disappear and fade away, and they're never really going to be recognized as officially paid, but they will kind of fade away. And the reason for that is because Because if it's a private discharge, it's basically like if you sent your buddy $100 and he just kind of crumpled up the contract and threw it in the trash. It really can't be recognized publicly because you didn't send them a public debt instrument, which is one that is trackable and traceable and has a serial number, which is what you'll be able to do once you do your UCC1 financing process. It allows you to be able to issue instruments, and then you use the certified mail numbers or register mail numbers as tracking for those particular instruments. And it also serves as like a serial number and things like that too. But you also want to assign them a serial number so you can keep track of them in your books as well, because you're gonna have to learn how to keep track of your own books. So this is accomplished by presenting a bonded registered bill of exchange, and you can create the bills of exchange easily. All right, you look at the one man out, redemption manual, things like that. They got them in there. If you need any of those materials or PDFs, let me know. And so presenting a bonded registered bill of exchange directly to the Secretary of Treasury. The bill is processed through the UCC Contract Trust Division via the IRS, which is the Treasury. All right. And so this is kind of crazy too, because I mean, you'll hear a lot of people here arguing about getting rid of all your documents. You don't want to be part of them or whatever and all that shit. Okay, well, that's good and well if you plan on using gold or something like that to do all your transactions with. But if at any point you're going to be dealing with anything commercial, which all of us are in some way, shape, or form, unless you crawl under a rock, you're going to be dealing with commerce in some way, shape, or form. So you might as well get everything secure commercially. And that's another thing that this does as well. It secures your person commercially, right? So you can't be fucking attacked by all these little entities that just love to get their hands on your energy, however they can, be it your time, money. I mean, you name it, right? So this is going to be done, processed through the UCC Contract Trust Division via the IRS, or more specifically, the Technical Support Division of the IRS. All right, so present two BOEs, bills of exchange, the original bill of exchange, and B, a copy of the same BOE stamped with accepted for value. All right, so you're going to create your bill of exchange, you're going to stamp that accepted for value, that's putting it into the account that you created. So number two, send it via certified mail, receipt to the Secretary of Treasury for discharge. The green card tracking number is your document registration number, as well as the Treasury tax and loan account number. If there is no written dishonor or return within 15 calendar days from the date of receipt, then the transaction is acknowledged and not dishonored and now stands as pre-approved. The documents now become notification forms of available credit for the bank. And I haven't gone as far as sending all this shit to the bank. Like I said, I deal directly with the Treasury. And during these 15 days, the UCC Contract Trust is credited and its equity pre-approved for acceptance through the TT&L. TTL stands for Treasury Tax and Loan account in accordance and mandated with the Administrative Procedures Act, Title 15 USC Clause 706. Number three, any claim on commercial transactions presented to the Secretary of State or Federal Reserve Bank is automatically bonded. On day 16 from receipt date, tender copies of the following to the processing bank: A return certified mail receipt, and B, copy of the NDI sent to Secretary of State and number two above. All right. So we'll go to the second page. Here it says, so on day 16 from receipt date, tender copies of the following to the processing bank: a return certified mail receipt, copy of the NDI sent to the Secretary of State, and number two above, a silver surety bond to be posted at the processing bank in accordance with CFR 31 at Part 203 to a custodial deposit account. D. Upon receipt of the above, the bank is legally authorized to place a credit on its TTL account with the amount of the NDI, followed by a debit for the same amount. This leaves the account initially unfunded. E. Obtain receipt for the credit debit transactions from the bank. 5. Prepare 3 packages containing copies of the credit debit transactions. B. Stamped NDI of the NDI sent to the Secretary of Treasury, and C, silver surety bond is required. So six. And so a silver surety bond is basically where you would create a bond backed by the metal. Okay. So, and you can find examples of that online as well. So number six, give to the bank for them to transmit each package. A, Secretary of the Treasury. B, IRS Chief of Special Handling Procedures. C, Chief of Special Procedure Handling at the Office of the Regional Administrator of the TTL account where the bank's registry are mailed. D, bank transmits each package that provides legal dated proof of receipt. 7. On day 16, from last receipt date, funds flow to the UCC contract trust account through the TTL to the bank's holding account. If no objection, rejection, or dishonor from any party at interest within the from the previous 15 days, then they credit the bank on the bank's ledger is authorized as approved and irreversibly funded. This is in accordance with Administrative Procedure Act Title 15 USC Clause 706. 8. With expiration of the hold period at the bank's equity is cleared and validated and credits the account of the claimants to discharge the claim. So these are the processes that the banks have to go through as well. So, but this basically here is like I said, it's a summarized list of what it is to set up your UCC contract trust. And then the bottom here is going to be what it is to set up your actual account with the bank using the certified mail numbers and or the green receipt card that you use when you send your bonds into the treasury. So, you know, it sounds simple because it is, but it's not easy if you don't study. All right. So I highly recommend that you study before you start doing any of this so you don't get yourself into any bullshit. And, just keep in mind that you're going to be tested, all right? So even if you start doing all this shit correctly, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be pushback. And it doesn't mean that if there is pushback that they're not doing what they're supposed to do because they are obligated and they do have duties and they do their job. And I'll just be real with you. The Treasury always does what they're supposed to. The issues that you might have would be with the banks and things like that. And, so you just, speak with the presidents or CEOs, CFOs of these banks once you get familiar with how this works so you can articulate your position correctly in order to be able to get them to contract with you and to do business, right? So, and it isn't a matter of trying to force anybody to do anything because keep in mind, none of these banks have to do business with you if they don't want to. But it doesn't mean that you still can't get things done through the U.S. Treasury because, like I said, they always do their job. So, that is what it is. It is the game of chess. Stop playing checkers with these clowns. That's what I got for you for now. Until we meet again.